It's time for a new generation of leadership to rediscover fiscal responsibility. Secure our border. I'm Nikki Haley, and I'm running for president.
All right, and now there are two, or formerly will be two, as she makes it official tomorrow, Nikki Haley, that she's throwing her hat in to challenge Donald Trump, among many others who could be vying for the Republican nomination for president. Karl Rove on all of that and the significance of this latest entrant. Karl, what do you think?
Well, going to be an interesting contest. I thought her video was instructive. She's going to run as an outsider, which she was when she ran both for the state legislature in South Carolina and then for governor. She took the governorship by beating the sitting Republican lieutenant governor, sitting Republican attorney general, and a very popular and well-respected member of the United States Congress. And she was a three-term state representative when she ran. So she's going to be running as an outsider. She's running as a product of the American dream, born to Indian parents who immigrated to the United States and moved to South Carolina. And she's also going to be running as a generational shift. This is, I think, a very important point. She talks about a new generation of leadership. We've talked about this in the past, you and I. 32 years we were governed by presidents of the greatest generation. For the last 32 years, we've been governed by presidents from the baby boomer generation, and at age 51, she would represent a significant generational change.
You know, South Carolina pops up here because Tim Scott, the senator from that fine state, also entertaining a White House run. The governor of the state, I believe, is solidly backing Donald Trump. That's going to be a state very much in play, isn't it, as we look at some of these other potential contenders?
Absolutely, and it's also the state that the Democrats want to move to the front of the line.
That's
they want to kick Iowa out of its place and replace it with South Carolina. We have yet to see if that's going to happen, but it is an attempt by the Democrats to move to the front of the pack, a state that was very, very friendly to Joe Biden. As you recall, he lost in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and then was rescued by James Clyburn in South Carolina.
You know, just a few minutes ago, Karl, we had Lee Zeldin here who said that this trajectory where we're going to have a lot of candidates vying for the nomination could benefit Donald Trump. And it is somewhat analogous to the race he ran in 2016, picking them off. Now, that was a much larger field, and then he did drop out as the course continued. But I'm just wondering whether you think lightning repeats itself here.
Well, I think Congressman Zeldin is correct that if there's a big field early next year, that benefits Donald Trump, who has a high floor but a low ceiling. But I'm not certain that we're going to have that we're not going to have 17 candidates like we had in 2016. And I think that party leaders, party activists, party donors all recognize that if they want to have a new face at the top of the ticket, then there's going to have to be some consolidation of the field at the end of the year, early next, depending on when this process of primary voting and caucus voting actually begins. But you know, this will be the second candidate. I suspect we'll see a number more in the months ahead. But you know, I think the congressman is right. I just don't think we're at a point where we have a sense of how the field is going to consolidate. It's not going to be a repeat of 2016 when we had 17 candidates and people stayed in well past the point at which they had a real shot at it. I think there's a general recognition that advantage is only one person, and that's Donald Trump.
Interesting. We'll follow it closely. Karl, thank you. Very good seeing you again, my friend. Karl Rove on all of that.